My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Some of the best picks we've ever had, some of the best bets we've ever had, and a phenomenal week altogether. We've had a break. We've let all of that success soak in, and now we are ready for you while Jacob reaches for God knows what in front of him.
Changing the light. I'm just getting the lighting right. It's been
So we are ready. Let's jump right in. We have UFC Vegas 28, and opening up the card, we have Claudio Puelles. That week off did not help my pronunciation of names, versus Jordan Leavitt. And this is actually an interesting matchup. So Claudio has coming off of a pretty long layoff. I think it's about a year. Jordan Leavitt is coming off of a pretty wild slam KO. Big time favorite in this fight. I feel like the UFC really wants to push him and really wants to get him going. And they're giving him Claudio thinking that it's a gift. And it may not be a gift. So this is an interesting matchup. But Danny, I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts originally are that we should expense through the company, We Want Picks, Rosetta Stone for Angelo, just so he learns how to pronounce names and just actually forget Rosetta Stone. We should start with Hooked on Phonics, so he learns just basic syllables, how they work, not skipping and adding random sounds. This one I'll give you is a tricky one, but I believe it is pronounced Puelles. So
Puelles sounds much better than Puelles.
Yeah, Puella Deville or whatever you said. Yeah, this is I agree with you. I think this is a fight that they want Leavitt to win. I think he should win, and the odds are around, he's around minus 200 now. Well, when we get to the betting video, we'll talk about that, but I think he's going to win this fight. I think he should dominate this fight. I watched tape on both these guys. They both have similar styles, we'll call it. But let's start with Puelles. So he's young. He's in his mid-20s. So right off the bat, he's been off for, I think, a couple of years. He could be improving. That's an X factor.
I have that in my notes for this fight and another one that Dan says these young guys improve very quickly. So the layoff for a young guy is much trickier than the layoff for a 40-year-old.
Did we just interrupt each other now? I didn't know.
We do now, yeah. Well, there's new software, the whole new look and feel to the channel. And
Angelo found some new software. That means he just
whole new cadence
whenever he wants. Now, I mean, it's one of those things where young guys.
Yeah, so I was basically looking at the fight, and what I see in Jordan.
All right, we won't interrupt anymore.
Well, we're off to a quick start tonight. It's going to be 2 a.m. when we finish. Yeah, no, Puelles is young, mid-20s. He's 2-1 in the UFC. Sort of. One of those wins was, he got it, but man, he was in trouble early. But he's definitely a grappler. And, it says right here, he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. What has he been doing? That's the big question. The one thing I'll say, though, is certain tendencies you can notice in people. And it's kind of hard. Like, if you don't like getting hit, if you don't like striking, it's hard to break out of that. You really have to force yourself. It's almost kind of an instinct for some people, fight or flight type thing. So he has not looked like he likes getting hit, and he doesn't look like he likes to strike in some of his last fights. So anyways, watching tape on him, his last fight was against a striker. He got an instant takedown pretty easily. He looked solid, like everyone kind of does for the first couple of minutes. He trapped the legs against the cage. It's a little bit of ground and pound, looking for subs, throw up some Kimuras, try for some sweeps. Just a good, decent jiu-jitsu guy that was kind of having his way. And then by the third round, he actually, so this fight, he dominated this whole fight. but I'm looking at Felipe Silva 2 fights ago. Sorry, I was getting my fights mixed up here. His last fight he won, he looked good. Easy fight for him, good grappling, good wrestling. But the fight I want to kind of clue on 2 fights ago against Felipe Silva, who's a good kickboxer, same thing, started off, Puelles got the easy takedown, went for a little ground and pound, but by the end of that fight, he was getting beat up on the feet. He couldn't get the takedowns. He would shoot for a takedown. If he didn't get it, he'd pull guard. He pulled guard, I want to say, at least 3 or 4 times in the fight, and got beat up on the feet. And then once he was pulling guard and wasn't getting subs, getting his way, he was getting smashed a little bit on the feet. And then out of nowhere in the 3rd round, he pulled off a Hail Mary knee bar and literally kind of pulled the fight out of nowhere. So I think had he not done that, I don't know if he'd still be in the UFC or not, but he looked in trouble in that fight. But most importantly, kind of what I saw is just his body language. Like, he looked like he was ready to kind of give up prior to that knee bar. And I think against Leavitt, who's also a grappler, I would just argue a little bit better everywhere in all the same areas. He's got better wrestling. I think his jiu-jitsu is better. I think transitionally, that's going to be the big factor in this fight. I think when Leavitt does get it to the ground, whether it be via takedown or Puelles pulls guard, I think he's going to move from side control to mount and just wear on Puelles and dominate positionally. I don't know if he'll get the sub. I think there's a good chance he will. But if he doesn't, I think he just dominates the fight positionally. And I think matchup-wise, this is just a bad matchup for Puelles and a really good matchup for Leavitt. So I think he's going to dominate this fight. I'm not sure if I'm going to put him in my DraftKings lineup. What's his score in DraftKings?
His price
9,000. Yeah, I don't love him that much. Although I do think he'll probably get a bunch of takedowns. But for 9,000, I think that's a little too much. But I think he dominates the fight. And even at these odds, minus 200, I think he might be worth it, to be honest. I think I'm gonna lay a bet on him as well. So, anyways, I think he dominates the fight. Just a better overall in every area that Puelles excels at. And unless Puelles has been boxing for the last 2 years only, I don't see it being a good fight for him.
So I see it similar. I think neither one of them are good strikers. They're both grappler first approaches. I think Puelles has lots of leg kicks, like tons of leg kicks to keep the distance, and then he comes in, for his takedowns. He had that Hail Mary knee bar. I saw that as I took that as, wow, Puelles is so tough. He can get the crap beaten out of him, have no backup plan, get smoked, not quit, and still pull off a knee bar to win. So I took it as he doesn't mentally quit. Like, he doesn't really have a backup plan. He can either win with grappling or he loses for the most part, but he never quits on the trying to win with grappling. So I thought that was honestly pretty impressive. I think everything leading up to that is embarrassing, but the fact that he was able to pull that out was pretty impressive. Jordan Leavitt, I think the biggest difference, I think both their striking sucks. The grappling is Jordan's probably a little better, or if not even. I think the biggest difference is Jordan has actual takedowns and can take it down, will take it down, will use it. The fear here, anytime you get 2 strikers, I'm about to touch on the monkey knife fight line, or anytime you get 2 grapplers, sometimes they just end up striking. I don't think that's going to happen here at all. I think they will grapple. It'll be grapple heavy, and I might play the less on this with monkey knife fight because I do think it'll be grappling heavy. I don't think it'll be, his takedowns are good, I'm not even going to try. So I think it's grappling heavy. I'm going to go to less. And before I go to you, Jacob, if you want to do a bet and place an actual bet like Dan is considering, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. And we have a deal with Bet Online. We have a couple of different promos and offerings depending on what you're looking for. So check that out. Click the link that makes the most sense for you. We'll just give you straight up $20 for signing up in one promo, or you can get a deposit match up to $1,000 in another. So check those out. Place a bet if you're confident. And Jacob, what are your thoughts?
I'll tell you what, Jordan has the biggest range in the UFC from what he looks like and what you think he fights like outside the cage when you see him and you talk to him compared to how he fights in the cage? Because he's got kind of a flair for the dramatic, if you say. He does the splits after he wins. But when he's in the cage, he is an unbelievably aggressive, relentless grappler. He's not a guy that just body locks you and kind of trips you and drags you to the ground. He picks you up. One of his fights, he slammed the guy on his head, knocked him out. The other fight, he just picks you up, carries you across the ring. Sometimes he'll throw you across the ring. It doesn't matter. You think he's even grappling with Claudio. I think he's head and shoulders above.
Wrestling, I see wrestling and grappling as different things. The wrestling, he definitely has the advantage, but just pure grappling, I think it's close.
I think he dominates no matter where this fight goes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jacob.
I think that he's just an unbelievable, relentless grappler. He doesn't look. I mean, when he doesn't look the part, but the second that bell rings, he just goes at it. He's got great transitions as well. The only thing that's kind of making me worried a little bit here is Claudio, Ultimate Fighter, Latin America. He beat Marcelo Rojo, who was a former Lock of the Week. He did.
How did he do it? Submission?
I can't remember how it. I couldn't find anything because it was an exhibition match for contender or whatever. So I couldn't find the finish, but it says he beat him in the contender series. That's the only thing that gave me a little bit of a pause. But still, I think Jordan absolutely dominates this fight. I actually have a bet on him to finish in the first round. I think he's going to get Claudio down early, get on top of him, and TKO him. Not even worry about submissions. Usually his submissions, too, where he's beating him and then submits the guy. So, I love Jordan in this matchup. I think if he gets one takedown and finishes the fight early, or like Dan says, just gets relentless takedown. So he's in my lineup. I have him to win the fight. I would put even money on that minus 200 as well.
Fun fact, Jacob. So we talk about Arkansas wrestling. So Jordan Leavitt placed third in Nevada in high school.
Nevada has decent wrestling.
Yeah.
No, Nevada actually does. I'm from Connecticut. We had a little kid, Joey Martin, won state opens, which is our version of state championships, the single best kid in the entire state. He won it twice, freshman year, sophomore year, then went to Nevada and didn't win there. He got like second or third. So it's a good wrestling state.
There you go.
He probably lost to Jordan Leavitt.
Yeah, he may have. So anyway, that's our breakdown of this fight. If you want to place a bet, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. If you want to play Monkey Knife Fight and hit up that strike line, let us know in the comments if you're going more and more or less.
Oh, and I would go less on that for sure. Because even if it's a 3-round fight, it could turn into, it's either going to be Jordan dominates and finishes it, or it could be just a grabbling match. So I agree with that.
Yep. So go to playmkf.com/WeWantPicks.
And for our bets, we're going to do 2 videos this week. One with the bets we have now, and then a bunch of lines and props, all the fun bets. A lot of them haven't come out yet, but they'll be available later in the week. So we'll do a second video with everything Friday or Saturday. So
yeah, our normal schedule, except we're adding some content tonight. So when this long video drops, you will also see a betting guide. Check that out.